Hello, people of Twitter.com. I made this cocktail for you, or at least for the 6 people that voted on my Twitter.com poll, and the 2 people who texted me back telling me, make a whiskey sour. So here is my rendition of a whiskey sour. My name is Jeffrey Petrone. This is not my real voice, and how did we make this drink? Well, we took a whole lime of its juice. We took an egg of its yolk. We took some Elijah Craig flavored sugar cubes, 4 to be exact. We took those ingredients along with 2 ounces of whiskey, and we put them into a shaker tin, although in my case I did not use a shaker tin. We gave it a real hard shake down. Then we added in a bunch of ice and half the carcass of a lime. And just unlimited power. And afterwards, what we did was we strained the drink of its ice, leaving in only a small amount of tiny ice chips to add some dilution, and because I am a lazy bastard. So, without further ado, here is a whiskey sour experience by me, your host, Barnacles Badarnacles, Petrone. Damn, this is a great cocktail. Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Cocktails with Jeffrey, because I accidentally forgot to record a third episode and I went from 2 to 4 as all the greats do. But as the greats also do, I am retroactively going to fix my mistakes. And what exactly am I fixing today? Well, I'm fixing up a nice whiskey sour. The way that doesn't involve a mix. So what I'm gonna do is take the juice of half a lime. Now, traditionally people will generally employ lemons, but I do find limes to just have a tinge more tartness to them, and I am of course just a big old lime boy. So we got some lime ASMR going on over here. And because we're feeling a little extra spicy and sour today, why don't we just go and add in the other half of this lime. Now, traditionally this will call for either some kind of gum syrup or a simple syrup, but I like to occasionally experiment with the texture of a drink. So what I'm going to try is just putting in some sugar cubes and kind of crushing them up before I add in any other ingredient, which is very much not standard practice, but it is something I'd like to try out. And since this was voted on and I had no control in doing this episode, although I would have done it eventually, I thought, why not exert some tiny bit of free will. So for all the people who voted in a poll, I got you. Here's the video. Now this drink is a drink that really requires a lot of shaking, so I mean, try not to tire your arm out. But you just want to give it a good smackola. And with that done, what we're going to do now is add in our first secret ingredient, 1 egg white. So, find a way to remove the yolk, get your egg white, don't do a Rocky, and get it in your glass. Sometimes people will do decorative bits of bitters sprinkled on the top in a interesting manner, exemplified by a twist of some kind of stick of some sort. But I have no artistic grace, so we're not doing that. Instead, what we're going to do is add in some barrel-aged bitters directly into the cocktail before we add in our Whistle Pig Old World cask. This is the standard release of their 12-year-old rye, which was finished in a combination of barrels. And yeah, 2 ounces, although if you're feeling a little self-conscious, you might add in a splash more just to get to a proper 2 ounces. So, this particular whiskey was finished in 63% Madeira casks, 30% French Santerres, and 7% port wine barrels. So with that out of the way, we're going to start the process of dry shaking this bad boy. Or should I say reverse dry shaking. Or, I'm pretty sure it's reverse. So what we're going to do is shake it without ice before we add in our secret off-camera ice. So, let's give it a go. And I might just move this upward so you can see my horrible, ugly face. Hi everyone, I'm Jeffrey Petrone. Let's give this a good tug, or I don't, fill in your innuendo in the comments, I guess. So because of the fact that we're dealing with both egg yolks and citrus, shaking this cocktail is a priority. Now, unlike in some other cocktails, I am somewhat on the fence about whether or not I want to serve this drink always on the rocks. In this particular occasion, I'm not going to. Just lost 2 ice cubes. Because I feel like it sometimes can distract from the drink in an odd way. Don't you just love having great ice trays? We still have 1 ice cube left, but who cares? Gonna just add in the remains of 1 of the limes because I am artistic. Artisanal, if you would. And we're just gonna take this all the way to Poundtown. Which will help the proteins break down and create the signature foam featured in this delicious cocktail. And now that that's done, let's strain it. So, traditionally I would double strain this, but I did not have the ability to today for just technical reasons. let's mosey on down to the corner store, pick us up some cherries, and maybe even some more. Join me, why don't you? Here is my whiskey sour a la Twitter poll. So the barrel bitters have a distinctive taste, and it really got into the cocktail. It is sugary, but not overly so. And as someone who doesn't particularly like sugary drinks, this is just in a great place because it's taken on a lot of the aspects of the lime, the citrus, the sourness, and it hasn't really taken on the whiskey. The whiskey has faded into the background, or at least that's the impression I have so far. It's very potent, but in like a refined way. The flavors are just very luscious, velvety, and clean. It's not like the whiskey is entirely not present, but this is a lime, how do I say this? This is a citrus. I try to make this, at least this, I have different ways of making a whiskey sour. This way that I went with for this version was a citrus drink with whiskey in it, as opposed to a whiskey and citrus drink or a whiskey drink with citrus in it. And yeah, the foam has really just added a nice visual component. I do feel still odd that I didn't go with a smaller container. This, of course, being a Canadian Rocks glass. So it's a Canadian Rocks Glencairn, so it's not entirely off script. And it does have that really nice kind of milky color to it. Although, one last bit of parting wisdom to permanently scar every single person in the audience. This is a drink that is sometimes made, I don't know why, because I could venture, I know why, you know what, I'm not even going to look it up, but there are other things that people make whiskey sours with outside of egg yolk, human yolk, and perfectly valid if that's what you want, but I would not want to. I've been Jeffrey Petrone, horrifying and stupefying since 1996. Have a great day. Bye, ya.